In a previous video, we went over profit first and how we can get started. We went through a real example using the profit first instant assessment and talked about how we can calculate what our starting percentages should be. In today's video, we're going to go over how we can use those percentages, how we start to actually use the system. We'll go over some tips of things to watch out for, some cautions, and ways that you can set yourself up for success, use this system in a way that will help you as you grow your business. Let's get to it. Let's begin with a really quick recap of what we did last time. So here was the instant assessment. We plugged in our numbers. We came up with our caps, our current allocation percentages. We understood what our targets were by looking at the table, which is also in the spreadsheet. And then this helped us understand what we want to achieve. And then we could look at the difference and what we want to do to close that gap and to be more on track with where we want to be. And so we came up with this initial rollout plan, and these were our current percentages, and this is where we want to start beginning today, or the one we were able to first set up our accounts and start doing the system. So this next tab is what we're going to talk about today. This is our allocations calculator and what we can use to actually do the math for us as we're doing these transfers so that we don't have to make mistakes. We don't have to try to think of it manually. So let's look at it. So we can see right here, first off, these are not our numbers. This is what was plugged in just before as a default. So we can come back here and we can look at, recall, we have our direct cost percent. We didn't actually calculate this last time, but we can do that very quickly right now. So just by taking that direct costs over our top line revenue, we can see, exactly 59% of our top line revenue is going to those direct costs. Again, with a salon, that is people and products. So slight adjustment here. That's just going to be 59% for us, which leaves 41% for real revenue. And that's what we want to split down here. If we recall, we had been starting at zero. We'd never done profit first before, so we don't have profit. We don't have a habit of that yet. So this is going to be 1%. Recall, we want to look at where we want to be starting today, or as soon as we set up those accounts. Q1, so we're going to put 1 to that, 23 to owner's pay, 4 to income tax, and then 72 remaining for our operating expenses. See, there's 1% for profit, 4 for income tax, 72 for operating expenses, and that one is then 23. So how we use this calculator, we've now set it up. We have our percentages. Is we need to first make sure that all of our money, all of our deposits as they come into the business are going into a bank account. Remember, these are all different bank accounts called income. So your point of sale, we need to update it. We need to make sure it's pointing to the income account that we've set up for our business. If we've done that, that's usually the biggest barrier. As soon as we've done that, the rest of the system is going to fall in place because we need the money in our other places. We need it in our direct costs. We need it in our operating expenses. So if we can set it up in a way it's going to force us to use the system, because now the money's in this account where we can't spend it. Recall, that's not what the income account is for. It's just to hold the money until we transfer it. So that's a big milestone. If you can move your deposits to go into the income account, that's a big achievement and will be the catalyst for using the rest of the system. The next thing that I would recommend, big tip, is that we do this on a cadence. So, for example, I would block this off on your calendar, but I also like just putting it in the spreadsheet as well. Just another point of reminder that we want to have this on a cadence. And I like the weekly because it allows you to move the money often enough that you're not running out. But it's also regular, so you're going to start to see trends. When it's higher than usual, you'll notice. When it's lower than usual, you'll notice. The same thing regarding these other accounts and their balances. You're going to pick up if they're feeling high or they're feeling low, because you're going to look at them once a week, the same time each week. And so when something gets off or something is different, it's going to stand out to you. You're going to notice that. So this is just a random example. Mondays at 9 a.m. You can do whenever works for you. It can be Thursdays at noon, Wednesdays at 4. It doesn't really matter. I typically like earlier in the week just because you get your deposits from the weekend. So if they don't come through on Monday, maybe it's Tuesday for you. But if they do come on Monday, that might be a good day. Again, it's up to you. And then, because our money's now hitting the income account, we're going to come in on those regular times. Again, we'll use the example, Mondays at 9. And we will plug in the amount that's in the income account. I'll literally log into the bank account. I will see maybe on this day there's $7,852.36. I just plug that in. We're using the balance that's in the account. We're not running reports. We're not looking at point of sale. We're not looking at our salon software. It's much simpler than that. We just look at what's in the account, plug that in. This calculator then does the rest of the math. We've got 5 transfers to do. We're going to move $4,632.89 into the direct cost account. That leaves us $32,1947 of real revenue, which gets split between these other 4 accounts. So then we'll do another transfer, $32.19 to our profit account, $128.78 into our tax account, $740.48 into the owner's pay account, and then the remainder, $2,318.02 into the operating expense or OPEX account. That's it. We will have done our profit first allocations at that point. Then we just need to stick to it and use the accounts for their purpose. So again, in terms of our costs of running the business, remember that this is payroll or people. I like to put people because not everyone's on payroll. Maybe you have a contractor or something like that. People and products. And then our operating expenses are going to basically be all other expenses. Our profit account, recall that that one is there to reward you as the business owner. So once per quarter, usually the beginning of January, beginning of April, July, October, we go in and we take half of what's in the account and we pay it to ourselves. And that's a bonus. And that's our bonus for the risk and the effort that we've put into our business, and we get to be rewarded for that. And that's meant to be aspirational. Our owner's pay account right here is meant to support our lifestyle. So that money is there for us to take home. It's going to be our net pay from our salary if we're on payroll, or it will be our draws or distributions for amounts that we just transfer straight to ourselves. The owner's pay account is meant to all be take home, hence net pay and draws. And then income tax, we're setting that aside to be our taxes, like the payments that are made for our personal taxes. Most of your businesses are flow-through entities, meaning the business itself doesn't pay taxes, but you as the individual have that tax obligation flow through to you, and we want your business to take care of you. And so that account is there to pay those, whether that's when you file each year or if you have to make quarterly estimated payments, really anytime you need to make tax payments. This is not sales tax, this is not payroll tax, this is your personal income tax payments. The last tip that I'll leave you with is it is critical, it is so important that you keep the money in these buckets, in these accounts. If we start to transfer money between the accounts, for example, my operating expenses are low, it's getting scary. So I transfer money from my tax account into my operating expense account. I've just broken the system. It's no longer going to work. It's no longer going to serve me well. My percentages no longer mean anything because I'm not sticking to how it's been set up. We want to do everything in our power to keep those percentages where they are. If we're running into issues repeatedly, it's possible that our percentages are right. It's also possible that we haven't taken an opportunity yet to evolve and to improve. By having our operating expenses now be 72% of our revenue, or real revenue, as opposed to, if you recall from before, we can flip back over here, it used to be 76%. So we have made a change. So we need to then have an adjustment on our spending. We need to be more innovative. We need to be more deliberate, more wise in that spending in order for that to work. And that's also why we make small changes over time. We don't try to do everything all at once, but we do it quarterly over a period of time so that we can achieve that. Remember, if your operating expense is running out of money, the way that I like to think about it is it means that you cannot afford your expenses. Your business can't afford the expenses that it has. So instead of just trying to cover it up, by doing a transfer from one of the other accounts, it's going to cover you short term. It's going to cover up the symptom, it's not going to solve the underlying problem that got you to that situation in the first place. So by sticking to the integrity of the accounts, it forces us to address our profitability at its core, at its root, and that's what we want. So here is the profit first allocation spreadsheet or tool. Again, plug in the income that's come in, do the transfers that it tells you, let the money sit there, use the accounts for their purpose. You're using profit first. As you do this over time, you're going to feel empowered, that you're going to see the benefits. You're going to grow it each quarter in the ways that you want, with profit and tax and pay going up, working those expenses down. It's going to be hugely impactful for you. I know the system works. I use it in my own business. There it is. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for joining me today. If you have found this valuable, please like and subscribe. Until next time.